hangs in the sky.
That way, they can get something to eat. The people that are injured need to rest. We can. Chrism probably needs some food as well if we can slap him awake. And I don't mean like literally slap him awake. I mean wake him up.
Sure.
I feel like I have to like specify since we're
Treble. You played Birdie. You're playing Genie.
Do we even need to explore at night? We can just make camp for the night and take a better look during the day. Just think the 6 of us can just take watch.
It's probably better to go in daylight than try to skulk around at night. We're not gonna be able to see anything.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna pull up under the bridge and set up camp for the night.
Genie lifts her goggles up and goes, "Oh right, you can't see in the dark."
So by my count, all told, you're aboard the boat right now are 27 rations. Each one constitutes enough food for one person to take a long rest. So the first goal is you're going to come up underneath this, up to the west bank under the bridge, and make camp there and set a watch and wait to see if the sun rises.
I didn't think it was an if, but yeah.
Okay.
We don't think it's an if. It's going to be a very sad day if the answer to that question is no. Haha, screw you.
We're gonna wait until everyone gets a rest. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. And it sounds like we'll take shifting watch duty.
I think we can do 3 watches, 2 people per watch.
I'm not going to really stress out about who's on watch at which point, because you have a lot of able-bodied people who are able to take a watch. So yeah, you have 27 rations. Who gets to eat this first night?
We have 27 people, don't we?
We have 21 people.
So
I think everybody. Ekon doesn't currently consider food like a problem.
I don't think
I think we should consider food a little bit of a problem if someone is willing to skip.
Well, given that we've just come from a city, like we're not super survival people here. So.
Yeah.
So is everybody eating, and we're going down to 6?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, until we learn better. It's a road. There's a town right up there, right?
I'm counting 22 people.
22.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Because we had...
No, 21. That's correct.
Yeah.
There's 6 of you, 12 NPCs, and then 3 retainers. That's 21. All right, so you're going down to 6 rations. I'm going to refill Denny's hit points. Lugrin just doesn't have any hit points, hardly. He just sucks.
I think Lugrin could be the man that you were meant to be, Lugrin.
Lugrin's going to be dinner if we keep this up.
So Denny's going to recover 1 level of exhaustion. Kristen is going to recover 1 level of exhaustion. Kristen still has 1 level, which means he's at disadvantage on his ability checks, but his speed is no longer halved. Everybody can now move at full speed on land. That said, he still doesn't have a spellcasting relic.
Does he have any... what is... Like, I'm going to ask Plaid this. Do you think, since we don't know where we're at, do you think we should take the shackles off of Kristen?
Pladen, he says that given the nature of your circumstances, he doesn't think Kristen could escape if he wanted to. You're very clearly not in the borders of the Republic anymore.
Yeah.
If he had to speculate what has happened, he speculates that... Oh, my alarm's going off. Sorry about that.
Hey, Burker, you're supposed to play D&D an hour and a half ago.
No, I had to set an alarm yesterday to wake up at this time.
Ah,
Whoops. There were, at one point in history, great magics that could teleport people great distances. And that's his only explanation for what's happened. The only way that he knows of, like, in contemporary means to do that would be like a teleportation circle. You guys didn't step into a teleportation circle, but he doesn't have another explanation. Unless Chrisen caused this, he thinks you're all literally in the same boat. However, striking Chrisen's chains, he still is not going to be able to do any spellcasting because he doesn't have his relic. He would literally need time and resources to create a new one.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to his spellcasting, because if you look at his stat block, he has 2 actions that are basically fire attacks. He doesn't have access to those either without his house relic, or without his cult relic,
spell relic.
his zealot relic.
No.
So yeah, Platin's all for striking off his chains. He doesn't think it'll do him any good to attempt to escape. And if he does attempt to escape, he doesn't think you should chase after him.
I tend to agree with him.
Well, we could
Honest.
talk. We could talk to Chrisen and see where he's at. We say so. Evie will approach him and say, "Chrisen, you realize the situation we're in, right? You
Well,
understand
Christen's
what's going on
asleep when you guys make landing. Are you shaking him
Okay.
awake?
I mean, just defeat him. I don't think we should. If
Let him sleep.
I
Okay.
think that like the question here is Plaid like we're going to be going up. Does Plaid want the shackles on or off?
I think as somebody keeps an eye on him to make sure he doesn't slit our throats while we sleep, it's fine.
Yeah.
So each of these NPCs, I'm not sure if you guys have read all the stat blocks, but I've given each of them an ideal bond and flaw. This is basically reflecting their outlook on your current circumstances, having just arrived in this mysterious new world. This is stuff that each of you would have a sense of their characters and where their heads are at after a few hours of conversation. So conversation with Chrisen always comes back around to him being a righteous religious zealot and you all being heretics. He sees you all coming here as a form of punishment that you have brought on yourselves, and he feels like he's been caught up in this punishment because he had a lapse of judgment at the end and decided to try to help you when he shouldn't have. It's not really regret so much as resignation, but it's pretty clear that he's not going to try to escape if you strike his chains off.
Right.
I'm concerned. Is he going to try to? Is he going to think if destroying us will release him from his punishment? Like, does he think he's been brought here to kill us?
Not only does he not think that would gain him anything, well, he couldn't survive that
Really
encounter to
outnumbered.
begin with. That's not.
He's severely outnumbered.
Yeah, he's not really interested in throwing his life away.
All right.
I'll leave that position to Ekon and Platten.
Oh no, I mean I didn't think he had the shackles already. I thought we'd taken him off back at the manor house.
So you unshackle Chrisen after he wakes up so he can eat.
Yeah.
He gives no indication that he's going to garrote anyone. Denny hates everything that's happening, and he will not shut up about everything that's gone wrong. And he's blaming everyone and everything. And I'm assuming nobody's paying much
This man
attention to him.
immediately. I have no patience for this man.
I feel like we can make use of Denny. We just have to make sure that whatever we want him to do, he needs to feel like it was his idea. And if we can get him to do that, then we won't have too many problems with him.
All right.
This might be the first time you guys have seen Lugrin completely sober in a long time.
Did his hip flask finally run out?
Lugrin is kind of retreated into himself. He seems very somber and very not very interested in holding a conversation. So anybody that attempts to talk to him, he just exchanges kind of quick pleasantries. Donique literally needs assistance eating her food, which Trieste sees to. Tenny complains about the food because it's not what she wants to eat, and she desperately wants to go home and wants Edmont to take her there right now.
Sorry, but that's not a thing we can do right now. We're somewhere where we're not supposed to be.
And after a few hours of rest and recuperation, and you have a meal, everybody can go ahead and take the benefits of the long rest.
All right. At the end of the long rest, I change my infusions. I give, not Donique, it's Trieste. She has repeating shot on her pistol.
He doesn't have bullets.
You don't need bullets.
Oh.
It shoots like magic bullets, and you have returning weapon back on your thing. That means I have to turn my bag of holding out, and I do so in the barge.
It's not a barge. It's a pole boat. It's a gondola.
You
Okay,
told me
well,
you told us it was a party barge.
Well, wasn't most of what you had in there a giant freaking cannon?
Yeah. So I put the cannon on. Okay, I put the cannon on the.
Yeah, no,
We'll
this
pick it up
cannon's
later.
not going to be. You're not going to mount this on this gondola.
No, I don't want to mount it. I just want to take it out of the bag
Okay.
and
Well-
so I could pick it up later.
Here's the thing, Jeannie, is we're not going to have the time or wherewithal probably to make anything of use of it. So whatever you can get out of it now,
I think that
otherwise,
thing is scrap metal.
we
I
leave
think
it-
that's what it's going to be used for.
I think we leave it behind.
There's not room in the gondola for all of these people and your giant cannon.
I will switch the infusions around after the next long rest and put the cannon back in
Okay.
there. It's fine.
You're assuming we're going to get to come back.
Yes, I am.
Which is a rational assumption.
And if we don't, then oh well.
Then you
So
cry.
what is the state of the environment after our long rest is finished?
You are in a very marshy territory. It's very muggy.
The sun come up.
Did the sun come up?
It did come
Is there
up.
at least
The
some
sun
natural light?
eventually did rise.
Did it rise in the direction that we're used to?
It rose in a different direction than you were expecting relative to the direction you thought you were traveling on the lake.
Where the hell are we?
So you're going to climb up and check out this bridge, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, and the
Who's
ruins to the
going
other
with
side.
you? I'm going to assume, unless told otherwise, that the 6 of you are always together. The PCs plus Orson are always.
I mean, I feel like that still leaves pretty reasonable
At
guards.
least Platten, yeah, at least
Yeah, Platten, the
or
girl with the
Man-at-Arms.
gun.
Of these characters,
Men-at-Arms.
Platten and Giela are probably the most competent as far as combat goes. But Lair and Lietgard also both have some combat ability, and then Abernathy and Trieste both have some ability from having levels in their noble class.
And Trieste has a gun.
No, she doesn't have any ammunition.
I gave her repeating shot on her gun.
You used your
Yeah, I did.
Artificer infusion
Yes,
on an
I
NPC
did.
that's not going
I-
with you?
I did.
That's why the bag of holding got turned
Oh,
inside out.
okay.
I did.
I'm going to say that Trieste, of the NPCs you have access to, is the only one that would not travel up to the bridge with you. She insists on staying down with her sister. She's trying to coax her out of this weird catatonic funk that she is in.
We probably want to leave the children down there
Yeah.
with somebody to watch them.
I don't think we should take.
I thought we were
anybody.
leaving. I thought we were leaving everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really
Just
feel like
like
We could maybe
Um,
take Platten with us.
My only question is, should we send Orson out to start foraging?
I do not want anybody alone until we know what's going on.
Lair and Lietgard can do that if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
We
think
should
everybody
set up
else
a
should
watch
stay.
and have those two go together, forage, stay close together. Just try not to. Didn't realize the rations would go that quick.
This is what I was trying to warn you about.
There's probably a town at the other end of this bridge.
There may not be a town for 1,000 miles.
Oh, there's a road. There's got to be a town somewhere.
It's a very old road. It's a very old bridge.
Well, you don't know anything about a road. You're down at the base of the bridge. You can't see what the bridge actually connects to from down here. Their first step is to climb
I'll tell you what
up
my
this
first step
western
is.
rock.
First step is to send Owl up and see if there's a road.
When you send the owl up after the sun comes up in the morning, not only is there no road on either side of the bridge, or if there was at one point, it's not a road that's been traveled anytime soon, or anytime lately, by which I mean in like recent memory. The bridge itself is in a terrible state of repair. Parts of it are crumbling away. I feel like I fought lizard men up here with like a lightning boomerang in Zelda at one point.
I assume these braziers aren't actually lit.
They are not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Evie says this bridge, it doesn't look like anyone's been this way in a long, long time.
What does it connect to?
On the other side, so this is, you fly your owl up. You guys are still down at the base down here. You're going to have to like climb up a path up and around. On the eastern side of the bridge, if you were to climb up and cross over, there's some kind of stone structure over there. A building of some kind, or some kind of fortification. It's not large enough to be a keep or even really a watchtower. But without actually sending your owl over there, it would be difficult to tell what precisely it is.
Does the owl perceive anything that seems dangerous?
You guys are in a weird netherworld that you have no idea how you arrived. I would say that at this moment, literally everything seems dangerous.
Yeah. We'll cross that bridge literally when we come to it then.
6 hours ago, you guys were like, look at all this food Abernathy brought. And now you're like, we're all going to starve immediately.
Does your owl see are there any indications of a road or what might be down the path?
I think all he sees is a watchtower or something.
Yeah, there's a stone structure that he can see in the distance on the other side of the bridge, but without actually sending the owl over, that's all the information you get.
So is it worth going up there?
We have nothing else to explore. It's a structure. There might be people. They may not be friendly, but the only lead we have at the moment.
Might be a good place to hold up.
Yeah, maybe.
And if it isn't occupied, then we have squatters' rights.
It's shelter at least.
Squatters' rights.
Well, shelter is good, but I ran out of breakfast this morning. Do we have food?
Do we see signs of any fish in the water?
That's not something your owl would be able to check. Your owl can feed itself, but not as...
I think owls are pretty good hunters. They have good perception. I think an owl might be able to see fish.
Yeah, enough to feed an owl. You got to feed 21 people.
Okay.
You have 3 characters that can make survival checks. That's it.
Yeah. Well, so we're all going to die, but we might as well check out that tower first.
I guess we should look up the rules for how many people survival checks can feed.
So the 6 of you are going to go up and cross this bridge?
Yeah.
It sounds like
I had thought the player's handbook gave an actual number for how many people a successful survival check can feed.
I think that was actually a feat, though, is the thing.
It's a background.
A background feature, yeah.
There's an Outlander background, I believe, that allows you to feed people while moving.
Oh, so none of these characters can keep you guys fed.
They can feed themselves. Okay.
Well, you're all gonna starve.
Yeah, this is a really bad situation.
I think they mentioned that like feeding yourself and like the description of it, but yeah, not other people.
I'll say each of them with a successful check can feed a D4 plus 1 people. I think that's fair. Because you figure a survivalist can go out and spend a few hours hunting and probably trap a couple of rabbits or
We're all gonna die of scurvy.
Forage some mushrooms. Why don't you guys go ahead and place yourselves on this bridge as you're crossing?
And on the way up, Evie would like to have a little conversation with Jeannie.
Hmm?
Yeah, the Jeannie. Oops.
Yes.
I didn't have the chance last night to thank you for saving my life back there on the wharf. I would have died if you hadn't saved me.
Yes, you would have.
And we'd all be dead now if Abernathy hadn't saved us. I don't know where we are, but we're all still alive, and that's what's the most important to me.
Possibly.
I think he's a good man. How do you feel? Does he please you?
Jeannie just looks at you very confused. Do you want to have sex with Abernathy?
No. I'm asking.
Listen, I think marriage is probably on the least of our concerns at the moment. We need to
You guys really want to have this conversation right now?
This is the
Nothing else to talk
conversation I
about?
wanted to have at all.
Why don't we put a pin in this and let's try not to fall off the bridge here?
Well, I was trying to find out if my sister was happy, but you guys are trying to ruin it. So
I don't think any of us are happy right now.
Evie's just going to go over here.
None of us are in good spirits right now, so let's just carry on as it is.
Jeannie is very confused by the conversation.
And getting up to the bridge, the stone structure is ancient, but the architecture is anything unlike you guys have seen. Not that many of you have much experience in crossing old ancient bridges, but there are stone structures that cross water. I mean, Brennanine sits on a lake. But the color and texture of the stone is different. You can't think of anywhere where it might be quarried. Down to just the actual design of it. There's something sinister, ominous about it. On each side of the bridge, the boundary walls along either side are almost 8 feet tall. Like having a huge wall on the side. To get a look over the bridge, you'd have to hoist yourself up to them. But once you get up to them, there's no battlements. There's not like a parapet or a walkway along the top. It wouldn't be a very defensible position. Except for these places where the big parts of the bridge, chunks of it, have fallen away down into the river below. And in those parts, you can actually look down and see just the piles of rubble poking up out of the shallow river. Structurally speaking, you probably would not trust any of these squares that are not whole.
What do you think? A bridge for someone about 12 feet tall?
Or maybe part of... I guess the real question is what exactly was coming up and down the river they felt they needed walls this high.
And as far as climbing up to the bridge, I mean, you're a good 200 feet above the water below. You would not want to fall from this height for sure.
Okay, do we want to tie ropes around each other's waist so that if one person falls, I guess we don't really have the strength for that, do we?
No, I'm fine.
Not especially, no.
Just go. If we're gonna go on the bridge, let's go very slowly. Are there any signs of like any sort of like pavement, or has everything just been like totally overgrown going away from the bridge?
We could stand in a line and I'll hold the rope.
Checking out these areas where you see like vegetation, they look like mossy outcroppings and then vines that reach up and over the stone. The vegetation looks very old, but there's also something very unnatural about it. And you don't recognize precisely what sort of plant it is at first glance.
What about the going away from the bridge, like down where a road might have been? Do the stones just kind of like vanish into overgrowth, or is there still cobblestones we can see peeking through?
Not many. And there's not really a road to speak of on either side of the bridge.
I guess looking out from either side of the bridge, is it kind of like a clear path, or are there like trees in the way? Like if we wanted to start walking away from the bridge, does it look like we might go someplace?
If you started off to the west, you'd be walking off. At some point, you have to climb down the other side of this rocky outcropping you're on top of, and then you imagine you'd be back down into the low-lying marshlands. If you go off to the east side of the bridge, you'll be heading towards the stone structure that I described.
Okay, so the look on the map here is there's an actual gap here.
There is.
Maybe we should just get back in the boat and see if everything's further upstream. This doesn't look as promising as I had hoped.
There's still that that garrison tower, right?
Yeah, we've come all this way. We should at least take a look at the place.
You want to go explore the creepy rundown garrison tower?
Isn't that like your
Victor.
that's your mission statement?
Boy, this place is really whatever happened yesterday really got to you, didn't it, Victor? I'm sorry.
I have no food.
Yeah.
I finished my breakfast this morning. I'd like to have dinner tonight.
There's all this yummy moss.
I don't know. This moss doesn't look very appetizing. In fact, I recommend no one touch it. I'm sure it's all kinds of poisonous. Maybe carnivorous. Who knows? Genie?
What? I'm hugging the wall.
Don't eat the moss.
What's the highest passive perception here? Is a good question to ask.
I have 15.
Not 15. 11.
15 it?
Victor
Not
has
that.
16.
17.
17. Okay.
And
What's next?
let's see here. 14 on my hawk, okay. Single file through here, I think.
Victor is going to be looking behind him as he takes the bag.
Cross to here.
And you're getting on to the mid-morning now, and it's still very silent. There's just even just a slight breeze, and you all are just very uncomfortable in what you're wearing. There's no way you can wear your winter clothes. You didn't have anything else packed.
Evie probably had a couple things packed.
Wearing a negligee.
Oh, she's not that desperate yet.
And Ekon, as you approach, just for a second, you think you see a shadow move under the bridge as you approach this gap. The gap itself is only a couple of feet, maybe a couple of paving stones across. Like you'd be able to lay down a wood plank and safely walk across, or even just get a running start and jump it. But no idea what it was, if anything. Maybe just a trick of the light.
Orson, did you see that?
What's Orson's passive perception?
12.
No, he didn't see anything.
I'll go ahead and hook up a piece of flagstone from the bridge, cast light on it, and toss it. Oh, actually, I can levitate it. Yeah, I'll levitate it, and then drop it slowly down below the bridge.
And you can just hold it in your mage hand.
Yeah,
What did
exactly.
you see up there?
What's the range on Mage Hand?
Believe it's 20.
Okay.
Let me double check.
Because it's a good, probably 100 or 200 feet down to the ground.
30. I just want to see, I just want to have light coming down from below to illuminate to see if anything
All right, roll initiative.
moves. Okay.
Ooh, roll well, too.
I'll go ahead and roll for...
Orson.
Yeah. So that's 5, and his initiative is +2, right?
Edmont, were you on 17 or 18?
17.
Yeah, his is +1.
+1, okay. Well,
All right. Ekon, you are not surprised because you lower some light down underneath the bridge, and you can see clutching to the underside of the bridge are 4 bizarre-looking creatures. They look like enormous frogs, but they're wearing clothing. They're wearing some sort of animal hide covering their bodies. Each one is clinging to the underside of the bridge with 3 of their appendages, and in one of their appendages they're holding a sort of crude spear. All 4 of them look like they're poised, waiting for one of you to leap across the gap so they can knock you out of the air with their spears.
I was about to jump across
And
the
when
gap.
you send the mage hand down and illuminate all of them, each one of them starts with this croaking voice to call out.
Is that what it sounds like?
That's what it sounds like.
Like
Do you guys do the same thing I do? You set an alarm and then you set another alarm for a half hour later.
I set alarms for everything.
I got.
Sorry,
Yep.
what did they call out?
They call out Magila, Magila, Magila in a croaking voice.
Okay.
And
Ekon.
Ekon, you are not surprised.
Ekon's gonna move back to here and yell out, "We don't mean any harm to you. We're not Magila." Dodge.
And dodge.
Yeah.
And then all four of them are going to clamber up, essentially to these same positions up on top of the bridge. And they do so clambering out very deftly and very swiftly. They can move across the surface using their sticky hands and feet, even while clutching the spears. And then all four of them loose their spears at you. Ekon's dodging, so we'll start with him. That's going to be a 7 to hit.
Nope.
Okay, let's do 1 for Genie. That's going to be a 5 to hit.
No. Sorry.
1 for Orson. That's going to be a 14 to hit.
Nope. Sorry.
And then 1 for Evie. That's going to be a 13 to hit.
No.
So all of them launch their spears in your direction, and they clatter to the bridge at your feet. And then each one of them hops away across the bridge, off in the direction of the stone structure.
Well, I guess that answers one question. This
I guess the
tower is not unoccupied.
I guess they have squatters' rights.
Sorry, that
Indeed.
was green. Next we have Evie with Edmont on deck.
If you guys are going to give chase, we're going to stay on initiative and play out the combat. Otherwise, if you're not going to give chase, we can come off initiative at this time.
I mean,
I'm not going to chase them.
Okay.
I don't think chasing them is... It kind of feels like they're trying to lure us somewhere.
It kind of feels like we might be attacking their home.
Yeah. Well, they were all waiting here ready to ambush us. So maybe they don't have another plan. They need to make another plan.
Are you guys making friends up there? What's going on?
I mean, you saw all this play out.
So I'm going to have my familiar fly over, expose myself, and just try and get a better look at where they're going in the structure. It'll stay about 30 feet up.
Is your familiar invisible somehow?
No, it's a hawk.
Okay. I'm going to give each of them a chance to kill your hawk then.
oh,
I have a 12.
Nope.
An 11.
Nope.
A 13.
Yep.
And a 21.
13 did it.
So they're hopping along this rocky switchback that goes up to this stone structure, this fortification. And as they come around a turn, they meet up with 3 more of the same creatures. And your hawk just has enough time to see that they've got a cache of spears at this way station at the base of this switchback that goes up to this fortification. And no sooner do they get spears in hands, they turn around and they fling more spears. 2 of them go wide. The third one knocks your hawk out of the air.
I'll relay that to everyone.
And even at this distance, because I mean, you only chase them maybe 100 feet or so, you can hear the calls of Magila, Magila from that direction.
Did you get that on the counter trip?
yeah.
Okay.
It's up there on the top, it's at the top left.
So I guess we should head back. I mean, I don't see any need to attack a bunch of frog people in their home.
I mean, we're camped underneath the bridge.
Yeah, might want to move our camp downriver.
I'm thinking we get back in the boat and let's get out of here. See if anything's further upriver.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't seem like interested in talking, but they might have food.
I mean,
Do you
they're
just propose to steal it?
I'm proposing that maybe we attack and take their food.
I'm not going to kill a bunch of creatures,
Didn't
for
we
food
just
right now. I'm not that desperate yet. Also, I don't know that I'd be that desperate even if, I was. Like they don't seem to be bothering anyone.
I mean, are
Looks like they're home.
are frogs that big? Like, that'd be some really big frog legs.
I'm not saying we eat them. That's going a little far.
Is that
Is it though?
Is that cannibalism? I don't know.
They're not human. Wait, I have a much more important question for all of you up here. The hell were those? Where are we that there are giant frogs walking around?
Some sort of
Edmont, are
unseelie
they
creature.
unseelie?
Yeah. Never heard of giant frogs though. Dwarves, dragons, not big frogs. Not ones that walk like people anyway.
Like, where's the church around here that these things are comfortable walking around throwing spears at people?
Especially in broad daylight.
I don't think there's been anyone civilized in this part of the world, wherever this is, for a very long time. I mean, look at this place.
Maybe
No
we're
one's
in the
been
North
here.
Lawrence.
So probably like what? Like you think we go through those mists and we get teleported like somewhere else? Did the sun rise at roughly the time I think sunrise should be?
Difficult to say.
Okay.
Difficult to
Trying
say
to
for
work
sure.
out if we've moved really far east or west, but I'm not sure.
What is the church's viewpoint on eating unseelie creatures?
Unfavorable.
I like the idea. Head back down to the boat.
I'm thinking
Unmoor
we-
it.
let's go back and make sure everyone's okay, given there's giant spear throwing frog unseelie things running around.
Yeah.
Given the number of spears they had, though, Ekon will collect the 4 spears that they threw at us.
And they're just very crude
Are they like javelins or spears?
spears.
Okay. Still might be useful to us. I mean, I would normally just leave them for them, but it looks like they had plenty from what I saw.
Yeah, functionally they're just lengths of stick with
Yeah.
a point on the
Okay.
end, bone or no, almost certainly bone actually.
Okay.
And nobody back at camp is happy to hear this report. Nobody is interested in dealing with hostile spear-throwing frogmen.
Plaid, do you have any idea what these things are?
He does not. Unseelie creatures, to be sure, but it solidifies his opinion that you guys are nowhere in the Republic because
Well, that's apparent. This bridge, it looks like it's thousands of years old, and it hasn't been maintained in almost that long.
Yeah, we have ruins back in Southbourne that are thousands of years old.
But not major thoroughfares.
Well, we don't know if this is a major thoroughfare or not. Apparently, it's not. Anymore.
I mean, once you get pretty far, once you get up into the northern countries and the highlands, you find some stuff like that. The old dwarven ruins, they're not great.
Yeah, seeing a ruin bridge like this isn't that far out, but frog creatures, I don't know about those.
What are the chances that these frog creatures attack us?
If we stay where we are, I would say it's pretty high. They didn't seem very friendly.
Let's go find everybody. Let's get them back, and let's.
Well, we gotta
Why-
wait for them to come back from hunting is the main thing.
are you
Well,
going
the
to
thing
be leaving this place by boat or heading out overland?
I think we stay on the boat and go upriver.
Okay, let me do this.
Go up the river.
This surely can't be the only bridge on this river, right?
There should be something. I mean, at least we'll have water if we stay on the river. I'm
Yeah.
not sure about food.
I mean, we could
Maybe
try-
anyone want to try their hand at spearfishing?
We got some spears.
If I did this right,
I can only see a very small portion.
yeah, you're only supposed to be able to see a very small portion.
Yeah, so I think you did it right.
So, I've given you all your NPCs back over here. If Treble named them all, they should all have their names still.
I didn't name them.
How long has it been since you guys did a good old-fashioned hex crawl?
I've never done a good old fashioned hex crawl.
I didn't run a hex crawl at all in Flumph of the Wild.
No, you ran a hex crawl, but I don't think Treble was
It wasn't a Flumph of the Wild. It was
in Planescape.
Planescape.
So here's the idea. This hex represents the position of the river where you guys found yourself in the surrounding territory. In 1 day's travel, you can move about 1 hex on this map. But you don't know what's where. You don't know what is out there on this map. You don't know. You know literally nothing. All you know is that at some point on this map there was, you can imagine, a bridge across the river that you've explored. I'm going to assume that you guys travel by day and camp at night. Is that a good assumption?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do not have the food to do an extended excursion like this.
So,
Well,
to simplify things, you're going to take today's resources, determine who gets to long rest tonight, and then head out tomorrow, either upriver or downriver or overland in some direction. Safe to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody can go ahead and roll Orson's survival check. And I will roll for the two NPCs.
Orson can get a guidance.
I have 2 passes here.
That's a 7 on die. So 7 plus his modifier, which I don't have up at the moment, which is survival. That's an int. So that's just 7.
No, it's a whiz. But
Oh,
yeah,
it's
still-
whiz?
so- yeah. Oh, so it's +2.
Yeah, so
So
9.
So Orson gets nothing. Leotgard has 5. And Lair has 3. So 14 people can eat and take a long rest tonight.
Mhm.
So
And not eating is a level of exhaustion.
not eating means make a Constitution saving throw. If you fail that, you
Okay.
take a level of exhaustion.
Ekon doesn't need any resources back, and he has a decent con save.
I can also skip a meal.
Evie will let the children eat instead of her.
I can skip a meal.
Evie's skipping. Edmont's skipping.
Is Paladin gonna skip?
There we go.
I need 3 more. Whoever you guys decide.
What is the
Uh,
DC?
Kristen should definitely eat because he already has a level of exhaustion.
The DC is going to increase based on how many levels of exhaustion you already have. It's going to get harder and harder to pass these as you go.
I think Abernathy could probably do a day without food.
Abernathy will nobly give up a day's worth of food.
We needed 2 more after that.
Any?
Yep.
Yeah, Denny.
I don't know that we want to piss Denny off. I think we.
Yeah, I think Denny and Lugren. I think the 3 noble men who aren't adventurers, plus all the adventurers are doing it.
Victor isn't sure.
Victor and Orson are both eating, as far as I know.
Orson and the 2 other scouts absolutely need to eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I need Jeannie, Evie, Edmont, and Ekon to make a Constitution saving throw. DC is 10.
24.
And then I will make a
Yes.
Constitution saving throw for Denny and Lugren.
Oh, yeah, that's a 12.
They both pass. And make one for
Evie
Abernathy.
passed.
And Edmont. So DC 10,
DC is 10.
12.
All right.
Tighten our belts until we can get something a little more sustainable.
And that's it. You guys are down to 0 provisions now.
Okay, so if we get an opportunity to find food, we can't do any more of this. I'm gonna just let everyone starve.
Well,
We're not doing that again.
it's the next morning now, and you guys have not yet left your camp under the bridge. So if you're going to stick to the boat, you kind of have 2 options. You can go upstream or downstream.
Which way is the river flowing?
That's flowing north relative to this map. That's the direction you guys were. So if you choose to turn around and go back the way you came, you'd be heading south.
So here's what we can do.
And a few
We
people actually advocate for that because obviously if you row back that direction, you will end up back on the lake. That's the thinking. Giela seems to think that's the case in particular.
Okay, so here's what we can only go in one direction, but we can send familiars in other directions to report what's over there.
Yeah, I will say you can have a familiar scout 1 hex in any direction once per day.
Victor is going to switch his familiar from a spider to an owl.
Yeah, and I'm gonna resummon mine as a ritual.
Okay.
Yep, I already have an owl.
So you need.
But I guess it
reason-
means I should probably actually call a familiar myself. It would help with scouting then.
We've got 5 doses of incense left. So.
Whoa!
What?
Sorry, I have this problem where sometimes stuff magnetizes to my hand, and it grabs your lens of truth, and I apologize.
So how many familiars do we have scouting out?
I think we're up to 5 now.
Evie would like to keep her familiar with her, unless we were. Well, which
So we have 4
which
scouting?
directions are?
I think we should always do directly east and west, and then whatever direction we're actively going to travel. So if that makes sense, like 2 to the side. I don't think if we pick a direction, I don't think scouting backwards is worth it.
So
I
we
mean,
have
my
4
opinion is-
familiars, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
4.
Okay.
So we can do. We
We
can
have
do.
the
We can
4
explore one direction, and the familiars can go in every other direction.
So I will reveal 4 of your surrounding hexes, and then you guys can tell me what direction you're traveling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, these familiars are gonna they're gonna be worth their weight in gold.
So
before this
Jeannie, which
campaign's
one
over.
do you want?
So we were traveling this way, right?
Traveling north along the river.
Okay, so then the hex that's due north.
Okay. There you go.
Okay.
And Ekon, which one do you want?
I'd like to scout out back the direction we supposedly came from along the river.
So down the river here. And Victor has his, what is it, a hawk?
Victor's gonna do the one ahead of actually. Yeah.
Okay. And Evie's keeping hers, and Edmont's sending one out. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And Edmont, which one do you want?
Let's go. Let's see what's off in this direction.
So traveling further further east from the river, it gets into more and more swamplands. The wetlands stretch out in all directions, and it gets more and more forested as well. And eventually you start seeing what we would know is like mangrove swamps, but your characters have no real connection to what those look like. There are no such swamps anywhere in the Republic, except maybe in fantasy stories. As you go west from the river, you go through maybe a day's travel of such heavily forested swampland, and then it starts opening up into grassy plains.
I think the swamplands from Metal Gear Solid 3.
None of your familiars come across any sign of civilization in terms of buildings or structures, except for what just looks like ruins from the sky. And the most significant of them are the ones that you're about to leave right now. Nothing as large as that one fortification.
My vote is we go towards the plains. If we go towards the source of the river, there may be a lake with a town on it.
I think our best bet for safety is to stay on the boat while we travel.
Yes.
So our choices are north or south. The question is, do we go?
Well,
do
your
we
choices
follow
are
the
north or southwest.
right? Well, up or down, like the way we came or the way forward.
Victor will attempt to explain to everybody that given the stars, going back the way we came is probably not likely to get us back to Brennan.
I mean, I just had my hawk take a look too. So
His vote is to go southwest towards the grassy plains and potentially
Well,
the source of the river.
That's where we came from.
yeah, that's where we came from. But it's not gonna. We're not
I
gonna
think
go
you're
back
from
north.
north.
Yeah, I mean, when Ekon sends his hawk out, your hawk flew further than you guys managed to pull up the river last night for sure. And no sign of the lake, no sign of Brennan, no sign of any of the ships that you know were escaping from the city. And aside from that, the countryside just doesn't match anything you guys have been living in Brennan for months now. Especially Victor's been all out in that country, dealing with fires and rednecks complaining about their orchards and everything else. This is nowhere in the Republic, for sure. So north would be downriver, south would be upriver, or you can abandon your boat and head off overland.
I say go south.
So
Yeah, Victor says vote to go south towards the grasslands.
Jayla
sounds-
likes that idea. She's convinced that if you go back to the south, you'll arrive back in Brennanine. That's where you left from. Not that you guys want to go back to Brennanine because meteors have happened.
Yeah.
Tenny is convinced that you guys are going home. And you spend the day pulling upriver. And you're going to send your hunters out again, no doubt.
No doubt.
I'm
I vote we send the hunters out with an escort so they're not by themselves.
so mechanically speaking, do I have to take a long rest to switch out my infusions, right? Not just a matter of time. I think
Yeah.
it says, yeah, okay.
You cannot get the benefits of a long rest if you do not eat.
Right, yeah, no. I was just because I was gonna get my
How did Orson do on his survival check for day 2?
Go ahead and add a guidance.
oh. That is a 18.
18. Okay, roll a d4. He can feed a d4 plus 1 people today.
He can read 4 people.
So combined with what Lietgard and Lair bring back, you have 13 rations for the day. So that's 13 people that can eat a breakfast and a morning and an evening meal for your next day of travel. And it's meager fare. It's like half-starved rabbits and just foraged vegetation, the kinds of things that you guys are absolutely not accustomed to eat. And even Lietgard, who is an outdoorsman of some renown, clearly he is used to more satisfying foragings, if that makes sense.
I think Tenny and Giannis always get to eat. We're not going to starve the children.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tenny eats only under great... actually, make a persuasion check.
Evie can do that. Evie's persuasion is +5. Does anyone have better than +5? You guys who all dumped charisma?
I'm going to say Evie's making this check because you're the one who brought it up.
Okay. 23.
Then yeah, you persuade Tenny to eat, but man, it's like pulling teeth. I mean, she watched this rabbit like skinned in front of her and turned over a steak, and I mean, there's like barely flavored broth of hot water and a couple of herbs that they managed to scrounge up. She's used to cakes and like sides of bacon and like
Buttered scones.
so she eats, but you're really going to have to work really hard to get her to eat. Until she knows what starvation feels like, it's going to be a battle to get her to eat every day. Who's not eating? You have 13 rations to dole out. Well, you have...
So who didn't eat? Who ate last time? It was Victor and...
Yeah, Victor will go with that. This
The
time.
hunters need to eat, and the children need to eat every time.
So that's 6. Okay.
Kristen is now back to full, right?
he will be after this long rest.
Okay.
Yeah,
get him
he was exhausted today. If he eats today and has a long rest...
Yeah, I
That'd be
think we
fine.
should get Kristen food because he's still recovering from his time in the dungeon, which
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
awesome.
Dungeon is awesome, or his time in the dungeon was awesome?
8 more.
I was being sarcastic.
Okay, so
Ekon was also being sarcastic.
it's hard to tell.
Evie will pass on eating again.
I think that we should do at least 2 of us every time should eat.
We
I mean,
should
I can take
probably
another day off.
alternate. Realistically, if there's 6 of us, 3 of us should eat one day, 3 of us should eat the next day.
I know, but we only can.
We don't have enough food to do that.
Well, yeah, some of the NPCs are going to have to go without food occasionally, too.
So,
Are we like building a meal chart here, like a whiteboard, decide who eats each day?
Basically, we need to alternate who eats on which days.
I think we should. I think.
Nobody should eat 2 days in a row. If we can
Yeah.
Yeah.
have the food.
Edmont, I think you should eat,
Yeah.
and I think one of the either me or Ekon. I don't think
You
Ekon
should-
or I should eat. Yeah,
So
Ekon.
Edmont is eating.
Yeah.
and Evie, not Evie. Genie.
Genie.
Genie is eating. 6 more.
Evie won't eat.
Danny didn't eat
The
yesterday.
four-
Lugren
Yeah,
didn't
the
eat
four
yesterday.
the four nobles who did not eat yesterday.
Oh, I was one of the ones who didn't eat yesterday.
I'm thinking Plaid needs to not eat today.
So Denny and Lugren. And Abernathy.
We're gonna do our best to like alternate who eats and doesn't eat every day. That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have 3 more that can eat today.
We need a meal chart.
Is Evie eating today?
I
Because you didn't
I don't-
yesterday.
if I don't eat today, is it going to be harder to make my con check?
Yes, it will.
Okay. I guess I should eat then.
Okay. Then you have 2 more.
She will eat. She will eat very reluctantly.
Ekon is going to insist that we save the rest of the rations for someone for the future.
So
You
you
can go
have
another day without food.
2 for tomorrow. Saving these 2 for tomorrow.
Unless
Yeah.
there's someone else who needs to eat today. Yeah.
Okay. Then I need Ekon and Victor to make a Constitution saving throw. Victor, your DC is 10. Ekon, yours is 12.
It's a 9.
A 9, then you have a level of exhaustion tomorrow.
I rolled a natural 20.
Then you're fine. Let me roll for the NPCs that are skipping. Trieste has a level of exhaustion. Donique has a level of exhaustion. Pladen is fine. Jayla and all of your retainers are fine.
We removed this bandit cannon. We left that. That's gone.
Yeah, that's gone. No more.
Speaking of eating, now might be a good time to go ahead and get your coffee, get your bagel. We'll take a break here. And when we come back, we will just watch all of these NPCs starve in slow motion.
Because that's exciting.